Public attention has been captured by two new laws recently signed into existence by President Cyril Ramaphosa. Both pieces of legislation are loaded with promise, controversy, and the potential for long-term impact. Supporters are calling them transformative, even revolutionary. They believe these laws could mark the beginning of a fairer, more inclusive future. But critics warn that they may open the door to instability, financial risk, and even greater corruption. For millions of South Africans, the truth may lie somewhere in between. Today, we dive deep into the two new laws Ramaphosa has just signed, laws that could reshape South Africa forever. The story of these laws is not just about technical legal jargon. It is about people. It is about history. It is about the ongoing struggle to balance justice, equality, and economic growth in a nation still weighed down by legacies of inequality. When President Ramaphosa put pen to paper, he did not merely sign documents. He reignited national debates that stretch back decades, touching nerves in business circles, communities, and political opposition camps. In a country struggling with unemployment, crime, and corruption, even one new law can shift the course of national development. Two laws at once represent nothing less than a seismic change. So, what exactly are these laws, and why is everyone talking about them? The first deals with land reform and expropriation, an issue that has haunted South African politics since the end of apartheid. Land ownership has remained one of the most divisive subjects in the country. Despite freedom being won in 1994, the majority of arable land has remained in the hands of a small minority, leaving millions of black South Africans dispossessed. Politicians have promised land redistribution for decades, but progress has been painfully slow, often marred by corruption and inefficiency. This new law attempts to speed up the process by giving the government broader powers to expropriate land for redistribution. For some, this is the long-awaited turning point. Ordinary South Africans, whose families were stripped of land during colonialism and apartheid, see this as overdue justice. They argue that without fair land ownership, true equality can never be achieved. Yet on the other side, business leaders, agricultural unions, and opposition parties are deeply concerned. The law, they say, is dangerously vague. What counts as just compensation? Could land be taken without payment? And if so, would that spook investors, tank food production, and throw the economy into chaos? History makes these fears difficult to ignore. In the early 2000s, Zimbabwe implemented land seizures without a clear compensation framework. The result was catastrophic: widespread farm collapse, food shortages, and an economic meltdown that still scars the region. Critics argue that if Ramaphosa's government mishandles this reform, South Africa could follow a similar path. But Ramaphosa and his allies insist this time will be different. Redistribution, they promise, will be orderly, transparent, and carefully balanced between justice and economic stability. Whether that balance can truly be achieved remains the million-dollar question. The second law Ramaphosa signed tackles national security and crime, issues close to the hearts of millions. Crime has long plagued South Africa, from violent robberies to sophisticated organized networks. Many citizens feel unsafe in their own neighborhoods, while businesses complain that rising security costs are crippling growth. The new national security law promises to overhaul intelligence operations, policing powers, and cybersecurity frameworks. On paper, it sounds like a step toward a safer nation. In reality, it has sparked as much controversy as the Land Reform Bill. The law expands surveillance powers for state security agencies. Officials argue these powers are necessary to fight cybercrime, transnational syndicates, and terrorism. But civil society groups and human rights activists are alarmed. They warn that giving the government broader authority to spy on citizens, monitor communications, and detain suspects risks serious abuse. In a country scarred by years of corruption scandals, trust in state institutions is already fragile. Could these new powers be used to protect the people, or to silence critics? When we look closer, these two laws are not isolated moves. They are part of Ramaphosa's broader political strategy as he walks a tightrope between reformist promises and mounting pressures from opposition parties and even his own ruling ANC. His presidency has been marked by efforts to restore public trust after the corruption-ridden Zuma era. Ramaphosa has positioned himself as a reformer, a stabilizer, the leader who could steer South Africa back from the brink. But with unemployment still sky-high, rolling blackouts crippling the economy, and political factions tearing at the ANC, his grip on power has been questioned more than once. Signing these laws may be his way of proving he is still in control, capable of delivering bold changes. The public reaction has been sharply divided. Supporters of land reform celebrated with rallies, calling it a long overdue step toward healing apartheid's wounds. Communities hoping for redistribution are preparing proposals for claims. Yet white commercial farmers warn of instability. Business chambers hint at pulling investment if property rights are undermined. International analysts are closely watching how the first test cases unfold. Meanwhile, the national security law has sparked fierce debates in the media and on social platforms. For citizens in crime-ridden areas, stronger laws sound like salvation. But digital rights activists caution that South Africa could be trading freedom for security, a dangerous bargain in any democracy. The bigger picture is that Ramaphosa is gambling with history. If these laws succeed, South Africa could enter a new era of fairness and safety. Land reform could empower rural communities, unlock growth, and address generational wounds. Strengthened security could cripple organized crime and restore trust in law enforcement. But the nightmare scenario is just as vivid: farms collapsing, food prices soaring, investors fleeing, and surveillance powers abused to suppress dissent. Implementation. How will land be identified for redistribution? Who decides which communities benefit? Will compensation be fair and transparent, or will corruption creep in again? With the security law, what oversight will prevent abuse of surveillance powers? South Africa has never lacked for laws on paper. The struggle has always been in execution. Ordinary citizens, the young graduate without a job, the mother living in fear of crime, the business owner worried about stability, will feel the ripple effects most directly. For them, these laws are not abstract policies but decisions that shape daily life. As the dust settles, one truth is clear: the president's signature is never just ink on paper. It ripples through households, farms, offices, and communities. Ramaphosa has placed his bet on two massive reforms. South Africa now stands on the edge of change. Whether this becomes a story of progress or a cautionary tale of unintended consequences remains to be seen. For now, the nation waits, debates rage on, and history turns another page.